Hello, hello. We are live.
Good morning. Good morning. Just checking to make sure we are on live. Yes, we are. Here we are. And then if you could just post the link below. Okay. So we're just going to give everyone a chance to come on. It is 8 o'clock. Today is our 5th day, second series. So first series we had last weekend of Friday, Saturday, Sunday on understanding trauma. This is the second series on steps on healing your trauma. And so we're going to be talking more in depth, giving tools on how these steps, what steps to take. And make sure if you missed yesterday's, make sure to look on the Facebook page. It's also on Meetup. It's on the event page in the past events, and you will find Joanna's information there if you're interested in doing the 22-day challenge with her book. For those who missed it yesterday, you still have that opportunity to join in that challenge, and also join in her page, I Am Love, to do the challenge. It's a really good series of days to be able to heal and stop the cycles of trauma and find ways to heal from that, where it's not, you could think of it, but it doesn't have that emotional charge on you physically, emotionally, and mentally. Okay. So with that, our schedule, we're doing our welcoming right now. We will do a short meditation, and then I'll be introducing our guest speaker. And our guest speaker will be speaking from 8:15 to 8:45. And then at 8:45, what we're going to do is just a quick conclusion of what we talked about, our 4 steps on healing. And then we're going to transition to private Zoom, where you'll be able to ask questions, and we could have more of an intimate discussion on certain traumas that you want to ask questions about, or tips or tools. So that's the opportunity. So make sure to join us via Zoom if that you're interested in staying afterwards. Again, we are Dual Dragons. My name is Rebecca, and my husband,
JB Atkins. We're holistic wellness consultants, also known as the Muscle Whisperer. And if you're interested in what we do, there's our information, include our website and our number if you'd like to reach out. And we're based out of Anaheim, California.
yes. Okay. So what we're going to do now is just take that small meditation. So everyone get comfortable where you're at. Make sure your feet are flat on the floor, arms apart, rested. Relax your body. I want everyone to take a nice belly breath. On our next belly breath, inhale deeply and hold it for 10 seconds, and then exhale slowly. Last deep belly breath. Inhale and exhale. Continue with this breathing, nice deep belly breaths. And I want your focus to go down to your feet. We're going to do a body scan, and I want you to take notes on how you're feeling today. Yesterday, if you were here yesterday or in the other classes, I've been saying, take notes, pay attention. And I'm asking you to do this because every day as you attend these courses, I want you to see if there's any changes, any small change. It doesn't have to be a big change, anything. So starting at your feet, start at the toes, go all the way up to your ankle. From your ankle, go up to your knees. From your knees, up to your hip. And as you're exploring your hip, focus in on your tailbone and slowly go up the sacrum. And then at the bottom of your spine, we're going to go up each vertebrae. Just go up slowly as if you were climbing your spine. Just feel each vertebrae as you go up slowly to the base of your neck. And from the base of your neck, we're going to go out the collarbone onto our shoulders. Down to our elbow. Down to our wrist. Down to our fingertips. Then slowly from your fingertips, go back up to the wrist, to the elbow, to the shoulders, across your collarbone, back to the base of your neck. And we're going to go up those 7 neck vertebrae. Slowly just feel your neck onto the base of your skull, where we're going to go down to our jaw. How does your jaw feel? Is it tight? And then go up the skull. Take a deep breath and take those mental notes. If you want, write them down. Any pain that you felt, any visions did you see, any messages did you get? If there was any pain, make sure to touch that area. Just let it say, thank you, body, for making me aware. I will make sure to take care of you soon with ease and joy. And as you're doing that to your body, slowly come back and take a couple deep breaths. Okay, so now that we're back, again, make sure to be journaling these body scans. They're very important because as you go through the course, you will notice some changes. You will notice all of a sudden these certain pains and aches start to slowly subside. Or you'll notice some new ones that you were not aware of. Depending on what you're hearing or what you're experiencing may trigger new spots throughout the body. And as you're jotting these down, make sure if there's anything in particular that comes up and you want to discuss it, whether it's here or whether you want to set up a Zoom with us, we could definitely work through those areas and kind of help you figure out what the map of your body is trying to tell you. Okay. So with that, I want to introduce Anasuya Isaac. We met a couple years ago. I can't believe it's been a couple years and moving on. It's like time flies by too fast. She is the alchemical midwife.
There you go. Or mystic midwife.
Yes. And then there's her Gmail, which is Ambassador Anasuya, and her number. So we're going to have her share any stories that, it's okay if you can to share about any trauma and what tools did you use to get out of it? Plus, what did you learn? And also, what has transitioned from that? Because I think the wonderful thing about the stories that everyone has been sharing is like, yes, we went through trauma, but everyone was able to find a solution of a way to understand it, a way to use it as almost as fuel for their, path or mission in their lives. So I always find, like I always say, out of every negative, there's always a positive. And that's the good news that I want to share with everyone, that there is, like they say, there is light at the end of the tunnel. It's probably not the way we imagine it, but there is light. And never ending, like I said, finding self-love is never ending, just like education. You're always going to educate yourself to learn more. You're always going to find more self-love to yourself to be able to ascend and grow as your spiritual being that we all are. So with that, I want to go ahead and I'm going to exit, stop share. So then that way now we can focus on Anasuya.
Good morning, beautiful people. How are you today? My name's Anasuya, and I'm very, very pleased and blessed to be here with you in this beautiful early morning. Let's see, Saturday morning. Woo! Talk about trauma. How sexy. Well, okay. So here we are. So let's see. I am a conscious intuitive healer. I'm a conscious channel, which means that I don't have to go into a trance state. I can be completely awake like I am talking to you and hear the divine as loudly and clearly as you're speaking and have it transmit through me as a conduit. So I just get out the way and let the divine speak through me. And that could be your ancestor, that could be a guardian angel, that could be Mother, Father, God, that could be Jesus. So many different entities come according to what you need and according to your relationships with your divine. So I say that to say that the healing of my trauma has allowed me to grow that ear and to be engaged with the divine. Because as long as I was under the shroud and the pain and the guilt and shame of my trauma, I couldn't receive God's grace. I couldn't fully embrace my gifts from God because I didn't feel worthy of them. I felt dirty. I felt ashamed. I felt unclean. And so why would God want to talk to and through somebody like me? So even though God did, I was just like, nope, I'm imagining it. I don't believe it. So these gifts that I have that I share with people to support them in their healing and in their transformation, I got because I took an active stand in healing my own trauma. And let's see, as someone who is American, African American, and woman, just by my very existence, I've experienced a lot of trauma just for being. And then I experienced other traumas just because of proximity. I was close to the right person at the wrong time. Well, really the wrong person at the wrong time. So it's just different. There are always various factors that lead to our wounding, to our suffering. And of course, so much of our healing process has to do with how we respond. So I shared in the beginning that my first response to these events happening to me was, okay, I didn't feel like I did something wrong. I didn't feel that. And I didn't believe that I deserved it. But I did feel, nevertheless, it left me very damaged. It left me broken. I had a feeling for many years that I was damaged goods. And like most things in the store that are damaged, we don't take them. We leave them on the shelf or we throw them away. And I just felt like I was always about to be thrown away by someone, always about to be left in the store or not picked up or just rejected. And so even if it wasn't the first instance, I kept waiting for the other shoe to drop. Well, the more they get to know me, they're going to see I'm damaged good and drop me and leave me behind. And that was my unconscious experience. Like it was running in the background, like those apps that drain your battery. This was an app that was running in the background, draining my heart, my joy, my aliveness. And so every time that I was able to experience aliveness and vitality and peacefulness, it was because it was hard earned. I fought to have that experience. And my constantly putting myself in places of training and development to heal that allowed me to expand how long I could hold the joy, how long I could hold the joy, how long I could hold the joy before the lie that I'm damaged good and don't deserve it snatches it. So a little bit about the trauma that I'm referring to. Like I said, I've had several along the years, and but the first one is the first one. Yes, the first one came from sexual abuse from my mother's younger brother, my uncle, who that's a crime of proximity. At the time, we were a multi-generational house, so we had 3 generations in the house: my grandmother, her children, and my brother and I. And so proximity and I don't know, the right day, the right way the moon was shining in the earth, the way, who knows, because it wasn't logical. It's just for 3 years, he just thought that was the after school activity to take part in. And it became a routine, and I had ways of coping with it. One of the things that he had in his room was a radiator. And I imagined I couldn't look at him while he was abusing me, so I would focus on the radiator. And depending on the time of year, it was either on or off. And if it was on, sometimes it would have a little whistle from the steam. I don't know if you're old school, so you know what radiators look like. But when the steam comes through, it's a little whistle. And so I would wait to see if the whistle would come on. And I just would dismember myself. I would dislocate. I would leave my body and go be in the radiator or moving with the radiator or listening to the wind. But I liked the radiator because it was so hard and it was so strong, and you could hit a radiator and it wouldn't break. And I said, I'm the radiator. I can't be broken. I can't be suffocated, even though he was suffocating because he was 6'4" and laying on top of me and I couldn't breathe. But I said, nope, but the radiator doesn't need to breathe. It can handle it. And that's how I would disassociate and survive the time of that abuse. And so about 2 years later, when I was violently attacked by a complete stranger, someone who actually escaped from St. E's, what we called it, St. Elizabeth Mental Institution, when he attacked my brother and I, and beat us and abused us and left us for dead. And he added a special treat for me, which is raping me at 6 years old. That was a really hard trauma to get over. So it made it very hard for me to live in my body. And this is how I developed that my body is a crime scene. Because look at this. Look at this. I had to go to the police. I had to go to trial. I had to testify against him. He got put in jail. I'm one of the lucky ones. Many rape survivors never get that opportunity to testify and put their abuser in, testify and then have the person be found guilty. So I was very blessed that my mother was able to advocate for me having that and for me having an experience of justice, which there's so much injustice in the world. So that I was able to experience that form of justice in an area where millions and millions and millions of girls and women and boys don't get that. I am blessed for that. But it did leave a scar. not an physical one, but an internal one. And that's where it really got solidified that, okay, I'm damaged goods for real now. I might have thought I wasn't with my uncle, but now I really am. And then it just became a truth. And I didn't notice it until I was trying to date and notice that I was welcoming and pushing away, attracting and repelling. But I'm grateful for that, because just that desire to love, that desire to be loved, even with my brokenness, was the impetus I needed to really do the work of healing myself. And one of the ways that I did it was meditation with a spiritual master from India, whose the mantra message is, see God in each other, see God in yourself. God lives within you as you. And in the beginning, I said, oh, wouldn't that be great? But I think God skipped over me. But the more I repeated the mantras, the more I studied with this teacher, the more I did the practices, I did come to see that God does live within me. And because God does live within me as me, I'm not broken and I'm not damaged. I have scars. I have healing, but that's not the same as being broken and damaged and unlovable. But it took years. I was introduced to that meditation path in 1982. So I've been walking a long time, chanting and meditating and offering selfless service to the world as a part of my gratitude for someone showing me the truth of who I am, and also to have the courage and the strength to keep healing and keep looking in the mirror and keep seeing myself and keep changing the conversation and changing the story and changing my relationship to myself and to other people, especially men. So, I have suffered many traumas since those two very defining moments as a child. But children are resilient. We bounce back and we can move on from everything. So what I've found is that, the traumas that I've experienced as an adult are way more, are the ones I have to work with currently. The ones from my childhood, I really did heal them in my first year of learning to meditate and work with that Indian master in between 82 and 85. So I'm very grateful that karma and those woundings are completely healed. Now, what adults have done to this adult, that's another thing. But I have the tools of meditation. I have the tools of chanting. I have the tools of serving people. So I always go back to what's in my toolbox. And, one of the things that in our trauma response is the vagus nerve, is that nerve that governs your whole nervous system. And one of the reasons why chanting and meditating is so powerful, because it interrupts that fear, flight, faint or free. I forget them. Fear, flight, faint, freeze response gets interrupted when you hum, when you do certain breathing techniques, when you meditate. It has a way of interrupting that cycle, and it calms the vagus nerve down and allows it to breathe and come to the rational mind and prefrontal cortex, so that we can remember, oh, in this moment, I'm actually safe. In this moment, I'm actually protected. In this moment, all is well. In this moment, I'm surrounded by love. Because actually, when we're in that fear, flight, faint, or freeze response, we're in the past. We're not here. So that gives us a chance to get right here in this moment. And in this moment, we are safe. Like, as I'm talking to you, I am safe. And even though parts of my heart people are like, oh, but I'm talking about things that I don't like to talk about, there's still things in the past. Still not right now. Right now, I'm safe. Right now, I'm looking at these beautiful faces and feeling like, oh, there's love for me. People are sending me sweetness and kindness. How blessed am I? So I have to speak it out loud. I have to say it, because sometimes that, even though it's an old tape, it comes back like, because I haven't been sick for a minute, y'all. It's been a long time. But, but trauma is not logical and it's not chronological. So when it comes back up, it's like it's right now. It's like it's right now, Okay, so one of the things that I also do is I have been led to speak and work with many people who are trauma survivors. And I didn't mean to. I just created art, teaching people art courses, and I teach people creative writing, and I used to teach it in schools and in homeless shelters and the prisons. And what I found that when I was teaching people just the art of creative writing or the art of making art, that as they were doing it, their trauma would come up. So I went through the back door of helping people to heal their trauma by not trying to heal their trauma, but it just comes up because that is just what we're all walking with, some form of wounding. And some people have multiple woundings. Some people have multiple woundings. And I'm one of those. So, and it's just there. And when we get still enough, and when we allow that vagus nerve to calm down and give it peace, then things that need to be healed will come up, whether it's on the paper as you're painting, whether it comes up in words as you're writing a poem or just trying to journal, or whether it comes up in a song that you're singing, and all of a sudden when you're making up words, the true words come out, and you're like, whoa, I didn't know that was there. So I have been leading workshops, like I said, with the homeless community, people in prison, people in foster care, different kinds of groups. I work with the refugees, the millions of refugees that flooded across Europe. I was living in Berlin at the time, and so I was welcoming the Syrian refugees and using art to have them, talk about some of the trauma they lived while Syria was burning and being bombed, as well as their trek. I mean, people don't realize that Syria is right not next to Berlin. So for them to go from Syria to Berlin, that's across 7-8 countries, and most of the time they walked or they were bused. And each place they went to, there was traumatic, there was abuse, so they had a lot to process, and it was coming up in their paintings. We didn't share the same language. I didn't speak Arabic. Some spoke English, some didn't. I spoke French to some, but the main language we could have was art. They could put the pain on the paper. They can put markings on the paper. They could put their rage on the paper. They could express their sorrow on the paper with colors. And so that's what I did. I've worked with people who were dealing with the traumatic loss of AIDS in South Africa. Either they were burying everyone around them, or they were living with the HIV status knowing that they soon would die. And so they had to process their emotions around that. So we used poetry, I used theater, I used some visual arts for that. I've been to doing these workshops in Kenya, in Senegal, all throughout Europe, in Canada. So I loved being an ambassador for love, an ambassador for healing in this way, using art. And so that's one of the ways that I keep my healing going. So, because every time I offer these sessions, I'm clear that I'm also one of them. And I let them know, I'm not better than you. I'm not better off than you. I'm not anything. I'm just maybe a few stages of healing ahead of you, but close enough to know what it's like. And so we're in this together, in this workshop together. And so that's what I really love to do. I don't know how much time I have left, so I don't want to go over my time. How am I doing?
You're doing great.
Do we have time to do a process or not?
Yes, we do. You have
okay.
15
How
minutes.
many? 15 more minutes?
Mhm.
Oh my God, I really am doing great. Okay, so I can't see Pilar, Sami, or the letter D, but it would be nice to look in your eyes and to see you and to know what's going on. I'd like to do 2 quick processes. Hi, Pilar. Thank you for joining. Let's see. The first one we can do is doesn't require anything. So we're all sitting down. So what we can do is just hold our hands, palms on our belly. Change. Spirit says heart. Okay, so for listen to Spirit. Spirit says put your hands on your 2 palms on your heart and actually feel your heartbeat. Can you feel your heart beating? Especially if you put your left hand first and your right hand on top of your left. Just get still and feel your heart beating in your hand. And bless your heart. Bless it for beating without any assistance from you. Bless it for sending blood and circulating it all throughout your body without any assistance from you. Thank your heart for being able to take pain and trauma and sadness and sorrow and still beat, and still circulate blood, and to still keep you alive without any assistance from you. This precious heartbeat is strong and resilient because it's the home of our soul. And the soul is the home of the divine within us. So this is the home, if you call it God, if you call it the divine, if you call it the creator, if you call it love, this is the seat of the soul. So we thank the heart for holding that space, for being that loving space, for being that enlivening space for us without any assistance from us. And thank goodness, because most of us would forget to breathe and forget to send out the blood flowing, and we'd forget, and boom, that would be like, okay, gotta get a new body now. I lost that one. So thank goodness it doesn't require our participation. I would love it if we didn't kill it with food, but there we go, that's another thing. So just breathe in that love for your heart. And now let's hum together the Om. The Om, which is the sound that created the universe, and the sound that's always vibrating through us, and the sound of our heart beating, sending out blood throughout around us. So let's do a few Oms together. Aum. When you get to the M, make sure you close your mouth and feel the vibration, because it's the vibration of the hum that calms the vagus nerve down, that calms the heartbeat down, that calms all of our nervous systems. So I'll do it again. Deep breath in. Again. And each time hold the as long as you can and feel it granting you peace. Deep breath in and and feel it vibrating throughout your body. And at any time during the day when you feel stress coming up, you can Om and you can vibrate, or you can just Do you feel your body is different now? Can you feel it? Your energy has shifted. Another thing we can do is breathe and whistle. So we'll do 3 breaths in through the nose and then whistle out long. So breathe in through the nose, whistle out. Breathe in through the nose, whistle out. Breathe in through the nose, whistle out. Let's try that. It doesn't matter how the whistle sounds. It's just forming the mouth in a very tiny hole is the important part. Okay. So let's breathe in through the nose. Okay, that wasn't a good one. So let's say deep breath. Okay, I'll try that again. So breathe in deeply. Oh, very good. I see some nice long whistles. Okay, so let's breathe in through the nose again, nice and deeply. Oh, my lips are too wet. One more time. Now, what makes it very interesting is this time we're going to reverse it. We're going to whistle in and then breathe out the nose. So you're going to inhale and whistle and breathe out the nose. So like this. Like you're sucking something up, but as you suck, you whistle. So. How does that feel? Did you notice a difference in your energy? Okay, if you can come off mute and just give me a little feedback before we go to the next thing, I'd just like to hear. How did those two breathing exercises, how did you feel the shift?
Relaxing, shifting, balancing, grounding. Thank you so much. It's absolutely beautiful and revitalizing. Oh my goodness.
I feel like that's probably the best breathing I've done in at least a month. That short little time. Can you hear me? Oh.
Yeah, we lost her. But yeah, definitely. Anybody else wants to share how they felt in the breath? Like I felt almost like my body temperature changed, shifted. From warm, I felt like this cool breeze just go through my body. So I felt like almost like a refreshing shower. Like
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it feels very relaxing.
there she is.
Yeah, to me it was like a relief, like letting things go.
Yeah.
It's probably the deepest breath that I've taken in at least a month.
Yes, very relaxing, very deep.
Yeah.
And that's beautiful. Thank you so much for saying that, because actually that is one of the ways that we keep trauma in place is not breathing. And we don't even know we're not breathing because our trauma response has us like always on guard, we're always ready.
Mm-hmm.
So we're in a contracted state. We don't even realize that we're breathing through that pinhole. But we need full breaths. We need to be alive. We need to feel everything up with oxygen. It also is how come we don't have clarity in our thoughts. It's also the reason why we don't have clarity in our movements, because we don't have enough oxygen.
Mm.
We're oxygen deprived. And if you know anything about babies, when they come here, if they're oxygen deprived, they have brain damage. Well, we're giving ourselves brain damage when we don't breathe deeply, when we don't breathe fully. And that is a part of keeping the trauma in place, which is why when people suffer major trauma as a child, they tend to have the emotions of a child. They tend to be childlike, even though they're adults. They're emotionally stuck at the age of their trauma, be it 5, 6, 7, or 8. They're stuck there because that's the brain damage. That's when they stop breathing. That's when they, and they didn't know how to breathe again. So one of the ways we can support people and ourselves in growing up our emotions and growing up our healing responses and growing up our capacity to be with the world and with life is to breathe, to get the oxygen back. You know, oxygen therapy is a real thing. People pay a lot of money to get oxygen. Bless you.
Sorry.
No,
Yeah.
they don't know how to breathe. And that's the most important gift we can give ourselves. So that simple exercises of breathing and humming, and then breathing with the whistle in and out, are two powerful ways to calm that vagus nerve down and re-stimulate it toward healing. It automatically heals itself when you calm it down. It's like it goes into, oh, I know how to fix these holes. I'm awake now. Oh, I forgot. How many more minutes? To have time for something else?
Yeah.
5. Okay, so we don't have enough time. I wanted to do a quick art project, process with you. With
Oh,
pen and paper. I think it might need more than 5. Maybe no, can I do 6? I can do 6. Can I do 6 minutes? Okay, great. Okay, so if you have 2 pieces of paper or one, either a notebook where I can just have the left side and the right side, or if you only have a piece of paper, we can do front and back. And if you can write 2 colored pencils or pens. So 2 colored pens, 2 colored
Can you
markers,
get me a pen?
2 colored crayons, just 2 different colors. Let me know when you're ready.
Okay, I'm ready.
Either a notebook where you have left and right side, or one piece of paper and you write back and forth. But if you have markers like Rebecca, then you need 2 sheets of paper because the marker will go through the one sheet. You won't be able to write on the back. So that's more for people using crayons or colored pencils or colored markers like that. Okay. Ready?
Mhm.
Okay, so if you're in a notebook on the left side, and if you're on a piece of paper, doesn't matter. And so take one of the colors, the lighter one. Take the lighter color of your 2 pencils, 2 colors, the lighter one, and close your eyes. Counterintuitive, I know, but make sure your hand is on your paper, right? But close your eyes, and right now, think about a traumatic experience. Not to relive it, but just think about some of the aspects of that traumatic experience. Who was involved, what they said or did, how you responded. And then as you're thinking of that, move your hand over your paper without looking at it. And just, it's a metacognitive joint. This means you just let your hand move. You're not thinking, but as you're remembering these scenes, you're going to put whatever comes to you on the paper. So as you move the pencil, you can bang the paper, you can hit it hard, you can scratch really furiously, like you can do whatever emotion, but you want to put it on the paper. And it's not about how it looks. We don't care how it looks. We just want to put the feeling on the paper. Whatever you need to do, just put it there. And as you're doing it, just say, I am releasing this pain. I'm releasing this memory. I am putting it here on this paper. I am letting it go. Okay, stop. Now, with that piece of paper, without opening your eyes, you can also write some of the words that came up for you. And no one will see the words and you won't see it either. So it doesn't matter if your letters don't really touch and if they're not straight, it doesn't matter. You just want to write some of the words on the paper that come up for you, the keywords. So not a sentence. So like bitch or anger or if you want to say asshole, if you want to say whatever word came up for you, you know, murderer, just write it down. And as you're writing, say, I release the power of these words over my emotions. I release the power of these words over my emotions. I'm setting myself free. Now, open your eyes and look at your picture. Don't judge it. Don't assess it. Just look at it like you're looking at beans in a pot that you're going to get ready to make a dish with. Just neutral. Now with the other pen, the other color, pick it up. And now, eyes are staying open. Just think, what are the beautiful ways that you are loving yourself now? What ways are you kind to yourself now? In what ways are you being tender with yourself now? And with the other color pen, on top of that foundation, you're going to make another picture, something very different. So so think of an image that comes to you. So it could be a home, it could be a heart, it could be a smiling face, it could be a dog. You want to just make a picture of something that brings you joy. Something that when you look at it or with it, you feel loved. It could be a person. But when you see this image that you're putting down, it brings you joy. It makes you happy. It makes you feel love. It makes you feel loved. Just put that on top.
Are we doing this on the same piece of paper?
On the same piece of paper.
On top? On top.
That's why you're using a different, now you're doing the darker color on top of the lighter one so that this is more pronounced. It's the thing you see. And when you look at it, is it making you smile? Is it making you feel happy? If not, keep going. It's not about pretty. No one else is going to see it but you. It's just about how you feel. Because we can alchemize any emotion and alchemize any pain into joy with our intention. Now, if you are finished with your image, On your second sheet of paper, oh, telling me to be with you, I'm here. On your second sheet of paper, write a love letter to you. Write about this new image you created with love on top of your pain. Now write a love letter to you, from you. And make sure you tell you how amazing you are, how juicy you are. Make sure you're praising you. Make sure you're celebrating you. And sign it with love and affection and kindness, and maybe a kiss. And then when you're done, look up. And would anybody like to share what that was like on that little journey?
At the moment, all I have is a black pen or black marker, so I have to imagine there being two different colors.
No, you could have just used the second sheet of paper. Well, I should have said that. I would have said use the other sheet of paper. That's why you have two sheets of paper. Okay. Okay, but go ahead. So what was your experience of like, because it's an inner job anyway.
This is a trauma event that happened when I was 2 or 3. I've been doing work in the past week more deeply, and just recognizing, like you said, that traumatic never leaves. But I got to a point now I can remember more details, but zero part. There's no charge of it. I go back and ask, is there another lesson? And then it just goes silent. So like, okay, I'm complete with this aspect of trauma and healing that wound. What's the next one? Like, being like myself being a garden, I'm seeking to remove the weed or that trauma. So I can probably see myself doing this exercise on other methods that I've used different tools and felt like they got some results, but not completely. And that's one thing we share with the viewers or guests is not one tool is going to effectively work on every single trauma. That's the benefit and the why we're building this community. So you're exposed to different tools, different perspectives, different wisdoms. So that one of them may be what's more aligned with you, your beliefs, mentally. You're able to process it, and physically recognize the healing category.
Wonderful. Yeah.
I have to say the same thing. Like it's interesting because first you had us focusing on the trauma, and it's like just a scribble and just kind of like, like almost like the toddler when they get frustrated and just,
Yes.
and then it was just interesting how you had us color over it. It was almost like it just turned comical. Like it was just like something to laugh at, like, oh, how funny, like the mood changed, That's what I noticed, how my mood changed pretty fast, just by drawing.
Excellent. Excellent. And it changed to joy,
Yes.
comedy. Okay, wonderful. Anybody else?
I understand some of my guests probably want to do the sharing in the private section.
Yeah.
Facebook. Just going to shut off the Facebook Live chat so we could continue the second part. Anastasia, before we go, is there any last words you want to share before we disconnect from the public world?
Are you asking?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah, who are you asking?
I don't know who he's asking.
I was asking if you could share any last words before we disconnect from the public world on Facebook and take off the recording so we can have that private, intimate.
Wonderful. I did forget we're on live. Thank you. Yes, I just want to share with all of you who are here and not here, and I can see and I can't see, that I'm just so grateful that you've had the courage to be here, to be in this conversation, to stay to the very end, because it may not have been a fun ride. But I just thank you so much for giving yourself that kind of self-love to even be here, to come, to listen, to watch, to do the exercise as best as you can. Just know that you are loved, you're perfect, whole, and complete. You are lovable. And this is your time to shine. So rise.
Thank you.
So stay on Zoom. We're just going to release on Facebook Live.
So everyone on Facebook Live, remember to stay healthy, breathe intentionally. Maybe join us in one of our Zoom events live. Until next time.